Hello everybody and welcome back to Creation Myths. Today we're going to examine the creationist claim that Neanderthals descended from Homo sapiens. Did Neanderthals descend from Homo sapiens? No, not even close. The creationist argument here is that Neanderthals must be descended from Homo sapiens, the same Homo sapiens that all existing humans are descended from. This is due in part to the fact that you can't deny that Homo sapiens and Neanderthals overlapped historically. We have way too much archaeological evidence to deny the fact that these two groups of organisms overlapped. This causes a problem for young Earth creationists because having another group of hominins present and overlapping with Homo sapiens is incompatible with young Earth accounts, unless Neanderthals were themselves Homo sapiens. So the solution that many creationist organizations have arrived at is to claim that Neanderthals were descended from Homo sapiens. In other words, Neanderthals are just degenerate humans. Here we have in the Answers Research Journal, that's the peer-reviewed journal from Answers in Genesis, saying young Earth creationists rightly consider that Neanderthals were human. And the Institute for Creation Research is a little more straightforward, and they just say Neanderthals are still human. I really appreciate creationist organizations being so direct about this because it leads to directly testable predictions. The young Earth model makes a prediction and the evolution model makes a prediction, and we can test those predictions and see which ones are right. So here is the young Earth prediction. If you take the genomes of Homo sapiens and Neanderthals, and we have robust genetic data for Neanderthals, we have Neanderthal genomes, so we can do this. You take those genomes, because the young Earth creationists are claiming that Neanderthals share common ancestry with Homo sapiens. So right here at the root of this tree, that's the common ancestor between extant Homo sapiens and, in red, the Neanderthal lineages. Now, according to the biblical model, that root is going to be Adam and Eve. Now, since that's what we're establishing as the history, we can then make a prediction about the genetics. If you compare the genomes, the sequences for Neanderthals, the red branch, must be nested within the larger Homo sapiens clade because they share common ancestry with that clade. In effect, Neanderthals are Homo sapiens. That's the creationist prediction. The evolution model looks at things differently. We can look at, for instance, geological evidence, paleontological evidence, and archaeological evidence, and say Neanderthals are the sister group to Homo sapiens. We don't share a common Homo sapien ancestor. Instead, you have a common ancestor right here that was neither Neanderthal nor Homo sapien. But that lineage diverged. One lineage generated Neanderthals, among other things, and the other lineage led to Homo sapiens. So we can then compare the genomes of Neanderthals and Homo sapiens and see how do they compare. Do the Neanderthals fall within the Homo sapien clade, or are they the sister group? When you do this work, you run into a bunch of problems for creationists. First is that the data are very clear and unambiguous. Neanderthals are sister to, not part of, Homo sapiens. And we know this, again, because we have their genomes. So here on this map, we have 4 sites where we have collected Neanderthal DNA. In part B right here, we have this larger figure that shows the relationships between Neanderthals, humans, chimps, and bonobos. You can see that Neanderthals and humans fall out together. And then if you zoom in on this tree, you can see that we have a clade for Homo sapiens, and we have a clade for Neanderthals. And you can see the Neanderthal clade is not nested within Homo sapiens. It is what's called the sister group to Homo sapiens. This is in line with the predictions that flow from evolutionary theory, but it violates the creationist predictions. So the creationist prediction is incorrect. And I know creationists like to point out that, hey, we make testable predictions too. Well, sure, that's fine, but in order to be right, your predictions have to be accurate. And here, it's not. The second problem for creationists with regard to Neanderthals is that Neanderthals break creationist most recent common ancestor dates. Basically, if you're going to look at the genetic diversity in existing Homo sapiens, creationists need to be able to trace that diversity back to a common ancestor within the last 6,000 years. So, for example, Jensen, 2015, in his research paper on AIG. Now, this is already wrong before considering Neanderthals. For example, the Homo sapiens mitochondrial most recent common ancestor dates back to between 60 and 200,000 years ago. And I have some videos on this. I will link them in the description. But let's assume for the sake of argument that creationists are right, that you can take the Homo sapiens genetic diversity and do coalescence analysis, and you get a most recent common ancestor at just 6,000 years ago. So in this figure right here, we have all of extant humans right in here, and we could trace that common ancestor to this node, and that was only 6,000 years ago. Well, do you see the problem? Neanderthal genetic diversity is over here. It's in addition to Homo sapiens genetic diversity. So if you add the Neanderthals to the mix, now you've pushed that most recent common ancestor too far back into the past to be compatible with creationist timeframes. In effect, you have two creationist claims here that are in direct conflict with each other. A most recent common ancestor, and Neanderthals as part of the Homo sapiens clade. Those two things are completely incompatible with each other, but both are required for young Earth creationism to work. The creationist response to these problems is that, well, Neanderthals were hypermutating. They had faster mutation rates, and that explains why they're so different from the rest of Homo sapiens. Even though they share a common ancestor, we can explain those differences based on the fact that they just experienced more mutations. Now, that's not the case. This claim is just a post hoc addition to the creationist model to solve the unsolvable problems that we just identified. In fact, if you claim Neanderthals were hypermutating, you actually create more problems. For example, based on the available genomes, Neanderthals had less genetic diversity than extant humans. So here's a paper talking about how Neanderthals were highly inbred. And if you look at that and you see how they're lacking in genetic diversity, well, lacking in genetic diversity is incompatible with being hypermutating. Because if you experience a lot of mutations, what are you generating? More genetic diversity. So the hypermutating hypothesis is just contradicted by the data. The second problem here is that this doesn't solve the first problem. Because even if you claim that Neanderthals were hypermutating, we say, okay, fine, Neanderthals were hypermutating, they still need to fall within the Homo sapiens clade if they share a common ancestor. What you would see is this tree represents the adjusted creationist prediction based on hypermutating Neanderthals, which again, something we don't have any evidence for. But if you take that at face value, you don't get the tree that actually exists, with Neanderthals as the sister group to Homo sapiens. Instead, you would predict this tree, where you have a Homo sapiens common ancestor, which again, in the biblical model, is going to be Adam and Eve. You have all extant Homo sapiens descended from those common ancestors, and you have Neanderthals nested within there. The difference is that Neanderthals have longer branches, indicating more mutations in those lineages. This is not what we see, so the problem is that the creation model is still wrong, even after you adjust it with hypermutability. So you put all of these problems on top of each other, and creationists have no answer for the requirement that in their model, Neanderthals have to be human, but also all available genetic evidence contradicts that claim. So to summarize, some young Earth creationists claim that Neanderthals are descended from Homo sapiens, which is to say they are members of the Homo sapien clade. This is perfectly rational for young Earth creationists to say. It's required for the young Earth creation model to work. But it's contradicted by all available genetic data. Neanderthals are the sister group to Homo sapiens, not nested within the Homo sapien clade. They have less diversity, not more. And if you include Neanderthals in your most recent common ancestor calculations, they violate the young Earth creation timeline that requires coalescence within 6,000 years. So, are Neanderthals descended from Homo sapiens? No, that is a creation myth. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Don't get fooled.